Thank you to the new subscribers and everybody that's been checking out my channel. 88.6% of yous are not subscribed. Oh dear. Oh dear. Please hit that button. Right, welcome dudes to another video by Shots. Now today I'm going to be teaching you about items and how to get them to spawn into different areas. Also the lifetime of items, how long they last on your server and so on. Now just to clear up something I said on my last video that I was wrong about, I noticed and I tested myself on spawnable types, the damage that controls the how your item spawns in, whether it spawns in damaged or whatnot. I said 0.1 to 0.3 every one. I've now discovered that I can put 0.0 in both of these and the items will spawn in pristine. So I think like 0.0 is pristine, 0.1 is like slightly used, 0.2 like 1 so on, or 0.31 so on, but 0.0 actually spawns in items pristine, and I've been getting an extra 1 or 2 mags through my guns before they go damaged. So I think where we've been doing 0.1, 0.0 and 0.1 and 0.1 and 0.2 as being why items damage faster. So 0.0 and 0.0 is absolutely fine to use, and I'd suggest you change that straight away. Right, so let's get straight into the video. So today we're going to be teaching you about types.xml and adding different items to your server. Also where they will spawn and how to change where they do spawn. So what we're going to do is we're going to go straight to an item we all know, we all love, and we're going to look at the M4A1. So what you're going to notice is we have the type name, which is a M4A1. Now this, anything placed here is the item that is being called into the game. The normal is the maximum amount of that item that can be on the server. So if we say we want 15 M4s, and we're going to change that to say a 12. So that's now told the server that we want a maximum of 15 M4A1s on the server, and when they reach down to 12, they will respawn back to 15. Right, now the lifetime is how long it will stay on the server. So this is in seconds. So if an item was to have the lifetime of 60 seconds, next time the server does a refresh, that item will leave the server, or if the server had a restart, it would leave the server. So if you wanted items to despawn faster, you just lower this lifetime amount. If you want them to stay around longer, you higher it. So for example, if you want people to be able to hide a gun in a bush and it stay there for 2 days, you would put 2 days worth of time in seconds within the lifetime. And the restock rate is the amount it will restock this item back to the normal amount when it hits the minimum. Right, so now we've figured that out, we're going to show you quantum min and quantum max. Now quantum min and quantum max only goes for things such like magazines, canteens, gas canisters, anything that'll hold a liquid or an item, say like a magazine, old bullets. Now what you would do is you would set for 1 would be 1%. So 1 would equal 1%. So if we just type this here, so 1 equals 1%. I'm going to type next to it 100 equals 100%. So what we would want to do is, if this was a magazine, for example, so we said it was a C mag, a green C mag for the M4A1, we would change this to say 20 and 100. And now this magazine has the chance of spawning every single magazine. So we're going to be speaking about the C mag for example. Every single magazine will now spawn in the game with 20 to 100% full of ammo. Every canteen would spawn in 20%, between 20% and 100% of water. So if you was to change this to 99, you would have magazines that would spawn in your server full. You can put this to 100, but that doesn't work on some servers. It does create some issues, and I'm not sure why. But best to just do 99 and 100, and your items will spawn in full. So now we're going to tell you about counting cargo. So basically, counting cargo, counting hoarder, and count on player, and the loot I'll show you crafted in a minute. So what you're going to look at is you're going to look at the M4. So we've got 15 M4s. We've got a minimum amount of 12 of them. So every time 3 are picked up, it will respawn back to 15. But at the minute, it's set so when players put them inside storage or on their bodies, it will count as the loot economy. So to change that, you need to change anything that is in cargo, hoarder, or counting player needs to be changed from 1 to 0, which 1 is active and 0 is deactive. So it needs to be changed from 1 to 0 for the item to now not count when it's being picked up. And once it's picked up, it will respawn back in the loot economy. And that is controlled with the counting cargo, counting hoarder, and count on player. Counting map is whether the item is counted in the map as a loot economy. So for example, if somebody picks up an M4 and moves it across a little bit and drops it, it will count on the map, so it won't respawn because it's still on the map. But that item, when the lifetime runs out of it, it will despawn off the map anyway, and then it will count back into the map. So that is basically how you stop stuff storing and getting counted as cargo when items are picked up and collected, and you have a nice little hoarder on your server that collects quite a lot of stuff, and he's got barrels and barrels full of M4s, and nobody can find anything. Well, that's why. If you turn these 3 to 0, that won't matter no more. When somebody picks that item up, it will always respawn. It doesn't matter. Right, now what we're going to look at is the usages and the tiers. Now, the tiers, if you look in the corner of your screen. Where are we? We're over here somewhere. I can't see. There we go. Right. If you look in the corner of the screen here on the right hand side, you'll see a map. Now, this is the closest I can get to an actual good tier map, and it's quite on point with the areas that spawn loot. So what we're going to do here is we're going to quickly show you how you know where an item's going to spawn. Now, we've gone across the map and we found a building. So we found the land house block 2F corner. So we're now going to look into mapgroupproto and we're going to look for this building. So we're going to look for this building here. So we're going to control F, we're going to search, and we're going to find this building. Now, this building here, so any building of this type across the map, so any building of that type that you find across the map anywhere will spawn whatever usage category is given to it, whatever usage tag is given to it. So, for example, we have that building I've just showed you there. If we look for another building further down the list, Airfield HQ, you'll notice this has got a usage of military. Now, I'll quickly, briefly explain this. Now, as you can see, there's a load of different coordinates here. Now, these are all loot positions where loot can spawn. Now, down the bottom here, you've got weapons and explosives. Now, this is how many different loot positions, weapons and explosives can spawn within inside that building. And as you can see, there's a hell of a lot, but only 10 are used. So if you wanted to adjust that, you count it. So say if we had 25, which I know there's no more than 25, we would change that to 25. But because we've now changed that to 25 and told it we want to open up more loot locations, we need to now go 25 here. There's 10 for the clothes, so 25 plus 10 is 35. And then there is, for containers and so on, there is 10. So 25. So we would want to put that to 45. And that would now tell 10 spawns for this, 10 spawns for this, and 25 spawns for weapons and explosives. Right, so now you've briefly been told that if you was to change a building's usage, so if we was to go ahead and put a usage of office into mapgroupproto and into this building, that would now mean that this building will now spawn any loot that as the usage offers. So now you've had a brief understanding of that, let me get back to the M4A1. And right, so M4A1, we now have spawning 15, minimum 12. They do not count when players pick them up, and they spawn at military, tier 3 and tier 4 locations. Now, if you look in the right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a little map. Now this little map here will show you, if you look on the map, you'll see tier 4 on the map somewhere up here, I think it is. I can't really see too well. And tier 3. Now that is where in the map this loot can spawn. Now, although it spawns within certain building types, it still needs a select area it spawns. It doesn't need it. If you was to remove these, that would now mean that that item would now spawn at all military locations across the map. All military locations. So we now put tier 3 and tier 4 back. That now means the item will spawn at any military building that is within a tier 4 or tier 3 area. And that is plain and simple how it's done. So we're going to take you down and show you crafted now. So we're going to look at the ghillie suits. No, we're not. We're going to look at the firefighter axe. Right. We'll look at firefighter axe. There we go. Right, now you notice the firefighter axe. So, sorry about that. Need a glass of water. You have the firefighter axe, and 10 of them spawn, and there's 5 minimum. So when 5 are picked up, it will mean that they will respawn back to 10. So as you will notice, everything here is nice and in order. It's got a nice lifetime. It's got a restock of 0, so it respawns all of them items, all 5 at the same time across the map. It doesn't need quantum max and quantum min because the item does not hold anything with inside it. And it has a usage of firefighter, so it will spawn in firefighter locations. Now, de-loot, I didn't explain before. If you notice, like on some items as the FAL, they have de-loot. That means that it will spawn at dynamic events such as helicopters and police cars and stuff like that. So if you had a item with de-loot on, which is a 1, and then put a police usage onto it, it will create that item to now spawn at the events of police cars. When the police car spawns around the map, that item will now spawn in the map. So if we was to put this as de-loot and this is police, that item would now spawn in police cars around the map as part of a dynamic event. So what we want to look at now is the crafted. So crafted means the item needs to be crafted. So firewood needs to be crafted. It needs to be chopped from a tree, you need to get a log, and you need to cut a log up. So if you wanted to place logs within your loot system, you would need to take the crafted off so that could spawn. Now, firefighter axe, the black firefighter axe, it doesn't spawn in game. Now, you could stick 5,000 of these and it will not spawn in the game because the crafted is on. This is because they used to be spray paint in the game and you used to spray paint your items, and that would create the item, and it's a crafted item, such as, for example, a saline bag. Now, within your files, you have the normal saline bag, and then you have a saline IV bag, which is the saline with the IV kit attached to it. Now, you can put the saline IV in your game, but it will not spawn unless you take the crafted off. I'm pretty sure it has crafted on the saline bag. It may do, it may not, but you get what I'm trying to say. Right, so best way to get a black firefighter axe to start spawning into the game. Best way. Simple. Just copy there. And just replace that. It's that easy. It's that simple. And you now have 10 normal firefighter axes, 10 black firefighter axes, and 10 green firefighter axes, all spawning in firefighter locations. So now let's say we want to add another area to that. So let's just go up to here. We're going to use our office again. So let's take our office and we're going to put that there like this. And then let's just go up and find another usage. All your usages can be found within limits definitions. And in fact, I'm just being a bit slow here, so I'll tell you what we're doing. We'll put my file in here that already has them in. So what we'll do is we'll just copy them all. We'll copy them all. Right. Now we don't need this no more. So close that. What we're going to do is we're going to replace all them. Like so. Right. So now we have a firefighter axe green. The firefighter axe black and the firefighter axe normal will only spawn in a firefighter's location, firefighter buildings. The firefighter axe green, however, what we've done here is we've added usages for different locations. So now we're going to have these green firefighter axes are now going to spawn in offices on the coast, in towns, schools, medical firefighter buildings, hunting, industrial, town, farm buildings, village, military, police, prison, and lunar park buildings. Any area that has any building within mapgroupproto that has them usages, that's where them items are now going to spawn, and that is how you would add them to the spawn points. Now, say for example, you didn't want them to spawn on tier 2, so we're going to grab my values again. We're going to copy tier 2, and we're now going to place this here. Now, there's no lunar parks in tier 2, there's no prison in tier 2, there is police stations, there is militaries, there is these, there is these, there is these. Yeah, no. So we've now got a firefighter axe green that's going to spawn in all these locations, but it's only going to spawn in the buildings within the tier 2 area. It will not spawn in the tier 1, tier 3, or tier 4 buildings. It will only spawn in the tier 2 buildings. To have it spawn in the mall, you just remove this, and to have them spawn in all of just 2 areas, you would have, let's put in 3 areas. So we'll put it in tier 4, tier 3, and tier 1. And now this is not going to spawn within tier 2 areas. It will spawn within every building that has these usage names within tier 1, tier 3, and tier 4 areas. So that now explains how to do that. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to show you the M4A1 again real quick. M4A1, and as you've seen before, I explained all briefly the non-animals, everything, how the usages work. Now, what you notice is the M4A1 black is in your files, but it, as before, it's crafted. So plain and simple, what you just do is you would just copy the M4 as so, and you would just replace from the non-animal down to the tier. And that is basically it. Now you have normal M4s, black M4s, and I think the normal are the black. I'm not too sure. I've never noticed the difference, but if somebody could drop a comment and let me know whether they are the same or not. I've never spawned them both at the same time. I think one will be like a shiny, like a light greyish colour, light grey black colour, and then that one must be completely black, and then that's completely green. Green ones are pretty fucking awesome, man. I do like the green ones. But yeah, now you have all of the M4 spawning, and we're now going to put 20, and we're going to put 15, and we're going to take that. So now what we've done is the M4A1 green will only spawn in tier 4 locations, the M4A1 black will only spawn in tier 4 and tier 3 locations, and the M4A1 will spawn in any military location around the map. Right, so there we go, we have it. All I need to teach you now is the hidden items. So to add extra items into your game, what you'll notice is some items like the green tundra and the black tundra are not within your files. So what we're going to do is this is my list, and there is a YouTube video on my list, and my list is within the DZMC Discord. This has got everything you need to find any items. So for example, if I want to find the firearms, I just double click this, I control F, and I search for firearms, and it will bring up all the items at the beginning of the list that are not within your files, but then it will bring up the items that are within your files further down. Also, the items that are not within your files are within this category as well. It's just so all guns can be stuck together, but I've made sure you understand what guns do not spawn and are not within your files, and name them above. So if you was to look for the Winchester, oh, I haven't even got it in my file. Oh yeah, I have it in snipers. So if you was to look for the Winchester, copy that. Let's close that. And you was to try and find the Winchester, you'll find it. If you was to try and find the Winchester green or the black, you won't find it. As you can see here, you will not find it. And as you can see here, you will find it. So what you would want to do here is plain and simple, nice and easy. Is all you would do is you would make a copy of this one. You would add 2 copies of that one, and plain and simple, you would collect the name of the coloured item, the new item you're putting in, and you would place that within there. And you now have the normal tundra, the black tundra, and the green tundra all spawning. And just as before, if we remove them, that will now only spawn. The green tundra will spawn in all hunting locations, and they'll only spawn in tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. So that's basically it. Now, to add, say, let's look for food, for example. So we got a Zachary chocolate, right? So we're going to take the Zachary chocolate, we're going to copy the Zachary chocolate, and we're going to go back up to the top of our file, and we're now going to place the Zachary chocolate. Make sure all this lines up perfectly. All needs to be lined up. We're going to place the Zachary chocolate within there, and now we're going to scroll up, and we're going to find bananas, like so. I'm going to add that there like that. Rabbit leg meat. Oh, vodka. We'll put vodka in. Now we'll put rabbit leg meat in. Vodka does not spawn. That's not the normal vodka. It's like a glass bottle. It's different to the normal vodka bottles. It's pretty awesome, to be honest. It does really good for your health, and it does really good for your food and your water. So it's really good. It really is. Now, if you was to be adding any firearms, what you would want to do is you would want to go and find a gun, for example, and you would go over and you would find a gun that doesn't spawn within your game, and that's let's say SKS green. You would change the AK-101 to green, and as you can see, we still have the AK-101 down there because we only copied it. And you now have 5 green SKSs now spawned in your server as well. We'll take that to spawns to all military locations. We'll change that so it doesn't count on the player, and we'll go down here like this. AK-101, 5 of them spawn, so we want 20 of them spawn. We want 10 minimum. We want them to restock straight away, and we want them to despawn enough when they're dropped. We don't want them to count in cargo. We don't want them to count in order, and we don't want them in player. It's not a crafted item. We do not want it on D-loot, and we want it all over the map. So if we go back down to my values file, we want it all over the map in every location, all over the map. Douche, like so. Right, and now we're going to copy this, because we have like AK-101 spawn everywhere on the map, but we have the black ones and they don't work because they're crafted on. So we're going to change that to this, and now we have 60 AK-101s, 3 different colors, so 20 of each type, and they all respawn when people have found 10, and they all despawn very, very fast. So that as soon if they were on the floor when the server does a refresh, bye item. If the server goes down and that item is on the floor, bye item. It goes straight out your server. So yeah. I'll quickly explain this. Any items that are already spawned within your server, that are already sat on spawn points, if you came in here and changed this to 30 and then save your file, don't expect them items to despawn. Them items are still running off their previous lifetime, and which would be this, or whatever the banana was then, which was 1400, was it? 14,400 was it? Yeah, 14,400. It would still need to expire that. Now, there's a way you can do this without that, and that is basically just to take one of these out of your file, save your file, place the file back in. It will corrupt your file, load the file into your server. It will make all the loot on the spawn point alone. Only the spawned in loot will not affect players' loot or any loot within bases. It will break that. All the loot will instantly despawn out of your server. You would then go and replace that back in, save the file, upload that, and your loot will now start working again. So today I covered how to put the items and stuff in, but one thing we've got to do is when you put a AK-101 in, that is a green AK-101, within spawnable types.xml, you'll notice there is also no AK-101 green. You need to do what we did before. You need to copy that item. And you need to place that item within inside the spawnable types file as well. So if you don't do that, your item's going to spawn in with no attachments whatsoever, because the file doesn't exist for them within inside spawnable types, just like it doesn't work with inside the spawn point types.xml. Sorry, you've also got to change it over into spawnable types as well, so it spawns with its attachments. So what we've done here is we've gone into spawnable types, we've copied the gun that we were placing in, and we've made 3 of that gun, and then we've changed 2 of them guns to the different guns that we want. So we now have 3 different guns, all spawning different attachments. Well, the same kind of attachments, but with the chances. Now, to change all these, it's just quite simple. This is 100%, that's 10%. So if you change this from that to this, that's 100%, and that means that item will now spawn on that gun. If we take this all out, that is the only item that will spawn on that gun. And if we change all these to 1.0 up here, and all these to 5.0.50, that would mean that all of them items have got a 100% chance of being selected on the gun, and then a 50% chance of the item being spawned. So 1.00 in this case, because there's only one item. Down here there's 2 items, so we're going to put 50 on this item, and that would mean that this item now would spawn in 100% complete. With this item will spawn in on that gun, attached to that gun. Now, I've got another video on spawnable types, and it's one of the first videos I ever did. So thank you for everybody who's been dropping likes on that video. And I think I'm done. This should get you where you need to be. I hope I explained it a little bit okayish, I guess. But hey, I try. So yeah, happy days. We now have guns spawned in different areas. We now have new items within the game, such as we've placed in a SKS green, a banana, a rabbit leg, and nothing else. But we can, whatever items we do want to place in, we can. Once again, I will show you my list. This is a list of all the items that do not spawn within your game and are not in your files. Anything below is already in your files. You just need to change what I've told you to change. But to add these items in the top of this list, you need to actually add them in. And then if you actually add any guns in, anything that holds attachments, you would actually have to add the attachments in spawnable types.xml also. Right, guys. So let's do one last one, and I will leave you be. We're going to put a sword in. So what we would do is I'm just going to place the sword name here, for example, like that. Right, now I'm going to look for a bat, because that's a melee weapon. I'm going to copy the baseball bat. I'm now going to put my sword in there, and I now have 200 swords and 150 minimum on my map, spawning in town, village, and school locations. Have a good night, guys. Peace out. Hit that sub button.